Here. If you're not, you're not. I'm not looking at the stream, but I'm just gonna do a quick video. Again, probably gonna talk like this and stay a little quieter. Several of the stronger members of the association came to help. The job went quicker than expected. We finished preparing for tomorrow, leaving us totally free for the rest of the evening.
じゃあ、お夕食は期待してるわね。
Okay, kids, I'm expecting a tasty dinner.
先生はちょっと野球部の休館対応に行ってくるわ。
I gotta go help the baseball team with an emergency.
そろそろお夕飯の支度だね。
It's finally time.
お互い恨みっこなしだよ。
No hard feelings.
はい、鈴原先輩、厚田先輩、ご敬中願います。
Yes, Suzuhara, Asuda, give it your all.
女子は家庭科室を使いますので、先輩方は申し訳ありませんが、宿直室で炊飯器の準備をお願いします。
We'll be using the home ec classroom, so sad to say you'll have to make do with the rice cooker in the security office.
オイラたちが料理をするところは見ちゃダメなのだ。
No peeking while we cook.
誰が作ったかがわからない状態で、先輩に一番美味しいと思ったおかずを選んでもらいます。
You'll be deciding which dish tastes best, so you're not allowed to know who made what.
私も頑張る。
I'm gonna give it my all.
じゃあ俺と笹原は宿直室で飯を炊こうぜ。腕が鳴るぜ。
We'll take care of the rice in the security office. We'll show you what we're made of.
炊飯器でご飯を炊くのに腕が鳴るもないもんだけどね。
Cooking rice in a rice cooker isn't exactly something to be proud of.
じゃあ夏くん、僕たちもできる限り頑張ろう。
Then let's do our best, Natsu.
No!
Though they were only making rice and miso soup, the boys headed for the security office in unnaturally high spirits. The three of us headed for the home ec classroom as invisible sparks flared between us. I kind of hate these, like, cooking kind of things.
ルールを再確認しておきます。
Before we begin, let's go over the rules again.
オイラたちは青春真っ只中。一人の男子をめぐって大バトルなのだ。
We're girls and adolescents waging a war over a guy's heart.
勝者は鈴原先輩と今夜屋上で二人きりのデートを。
The winner gets a date with Suzuhara on the rooftop.
敗者はそのお膳立てに協力していただきます。
The losers have to help prepare for that. Do we have an agreement?
望むところだ。
Bring it on.
私たち3人でそれぞれ一品ずつを作り、
We'll
鈴原先輩にどれが一番美味しかったかを決めてもらいます。
We'll all cook a dish and have Suzuhara eat it.
どれも同じくらい美味しいって言ったら、
And he'll decide which one's best. What if he says they're all equally good?
その時は副審判のナッチーの出番さ。
That's where Natty comes in.
厚田先輩はそういうとこはきっちり白黒つけてくださるでしょうからね。
Knowing Natsuru, he'll have no problem setting the record straight.
確かに厚田くんならそうだね。
That does sound like him.
春宮先輩が負けた時には、鈴原先輩のことは以後鈴むと呼ぶのは禁止ですからね。
And if you lose, you can't call Suzuhara by his first name.
私が勝った時は二人は鈴むと二人きりで会うの今後禁止ね。
Then if I win, you guys can't be alone with Suzuhara anymore.
だってリリアちゃんは芸能人としての指導を受けたいんでしょ。二人きりじゃなくても問題ないよね。
I mean, you just want him to help guide your career, right, Riria? You don't need him to be alone to do that.
まあそうですね。
I guess you got a point.
見延先輩もね、部活で会う以外は。
Sorry, I skipped the line. Same with you, Minobe. No seeing Suzumu outside of club hours if you lose.
ヒコチーさ、先週とずいぶん態度変わったね。
Hey, Kiki, is it just me or are you acting different than last week?
そうかな。
You think so?
そういえばそうですね。先週はどちらかというと日和見な感じだったのに。
Now that you mention it, it's true. She was kind of on the fence last week.
今日はやる気満々で鈴原先輩を勝ち取ってやるっていう闘志を感じます。
Yeah, here she is, willing to fight with all she's got for Suzuhara.
わかっちゃったぞ。オイラたちにスズムンを取られるかもって思ったら。
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe when she realizes we might take Suzumu from her forever.
短すぎて気づかなかったスズムンへの思いに気づいちゃったんだな。
She finally realized her feelings for him or something.
なるほど。
Now I see.
でもそういう潔さ敬服しますよ。そうでなくっては。
But I admire your drive. Otherwise, this would have been dull. We each began cooking at our stations. We'd all brought the ingredients in our spare time. And so we took them out of the fridge.
キコチーは豚のひき肉か。ハンバーグかな。
You brought minced pork, eh, Kiki? Doing hamburger steak, Arby? Oh no, she figured it out from the ingredient alone.
決めつけは早計です。餃子かもしれないし、麻婆豆腐もありえますね。そぼろを作れば応用も効きますし。
It's too early to tell. It could be pot stickers or mapo tofu. It's also an effective ingredient for rice bowls. You could use minced pork for more than hamburg steak. Oh god, my lady credentials were at an all-time low.
リリアちゃんは牛肉？
What about you, Ruria? That's beef.
豚肉です。
Pork.
この大きさで牛肉だったら予算オーバーしちゃいますよ。
It'd be over budget to buy this much beef.
おやおや、豚肉かぶりだね。おいらはお魚なのだ。
Looks like we have 2 pork dishes, but not me. I got fish.
ミノベ先輩すごい。お魚おろせるんですか？
You're amazing, Minobe. You can gut fish.
おろせるわけないし。
No, of course I can't.
そんなんスーパーの鮮魚コーナーで頼むだけだよ。
I asked the folks at the fish station to take care of it.
おや、柵にしたんですか。お刺身を切るのって結構腕がいりますよ。
You had it cut up? It takes some skill to cut up sashimi.
そこは計算づくなのだ。
Worry not, my friends. I took that into account. This was really bad. We'd only opened the fridge, and already everyone could tell I was a peasant in the presence of noble women. My mom had put me through the ringer this past week to teach me how to make hamburg steak. She said a hamburg steak is the straightest path to a boy's heart. All boys love meat, and cooking a hamburger from scratch really makes the flavor stand out. I didn't just take her word for it either. I did my fair share of online research. Thanks to my research, I learned drawing something with ketchup can also be effective. If I drew a heart, he'd be forced to recognize just how cute and feminine I was. No doubt about it. Just gonna grab a little drink of water to hydrate. I'd had plenty of experience with graffiti, so my art skills were off the chart.
いい匂いね。私もトエちゃんももうお腹がグーグーよ。
Ooh, that smells great. Toei and I are dying for it.
黒髪さんも来て。6時間遅刻した。
Oh, Kurakami's here? I'm 6 hours late.
まあ岩井本神社からここまでは飛行機でもそのくらいかかるしね。
Sounds about right if you're taking a plane from the shrine to here.
万一熱田先輩でも判定ができなかった場合は先生と黒髪先輩にも判定してもらいましょう。
In the event Atsuda can't serve as a sub-referee, let's have Hinagata and Kurakami do the job.
料理対決なんですって。乙女のプライドがぶつかり合っちゃうわね。
A cooking challenge, is it? A clash between womanly pride?
それで最終的な判断は男子が決めるのね。
And you're leaving the judgment up to a dude?
男子に認められない女子力なんて意味ないしね。
There'd be no point in this otherwise.
誰がスズムのハートをわしづかみにしちゃうか 負なんです。
It's a battle for Suzumu's heart.
男子が来る前にさらっと先生に好評をいただきたいです。
I'd like to ask you for your thoughts before the boys get here, Hinagata. In other words, a preliminary match with Miss Hinagata as the judge.
あらあら、春宮さんは乙女の定番の手作りハンバーグね。可愛らしい。
Ooh, you made hamburg steak? That's a classic. So cute, Harumiya.
スペードが書いてある。
I drew a spade on it.
あ、それは逆。ハートです。
You're looking at it backwards. It's a heart.
定番中の定番ね。私の時代の男の子だったらイチコロかしら。
Hehe. Standard as standard gets. You'd win for sure if we were dealing with a guy back in my day.
今時ハートの絵描きなんて珍しくもないけどね。
But nowadays, ketchup hearts are pretty common.
このハートがどこまで通用するかが勝負を決めそうね。
I guess the match will be decided by how much the heart gets through to him.
男子は見え見えでもそういうのに弱いですからね。
Boys aren't complicated. They're kind of weak to that thing. Shut up. So what if they are? All the better for me. Still, it seemed the heart was the only real highlight of my hamburg steak.
スペード、黒いし。
The spade is black. That's cause Mom said you had to cook porks good so it didn't come out raw.
あらあら、これは見延さんの？渋いわね。お酒も合いそう。
Whoa, this is yours, Minobe? Refined. The cooking sake is a good match.
マグロのお刺身と山芋のとろろに刻み海苔にオクラをスライスしたものね。
Tuna sashimi and grated yam? Soup with shredded seaweed and sliced okra?
飲み屋のお料理みたい。
Bar food?
なんとでも言ってもらいましょう。
Hehe. Call it whatever you want.
なるほど。この料理はまだ未完成というわけですね。
I see. So that means the dish is incomplete then.
さすがはリリアン。見抜いてきたね。
Sharp as ever, Lillian. You saw right through me.
どういうこと？
What are you talking about?
男の子はね、丼飯が大好きなのさ。つまりこれはお刺身ではなく。
Well, everybody knows a boy loves a good rice bowl. In other words, this isn't sashimi.
なるほど。丼ご飯にのせて鉄火丼になるのね。
I see. You pour it on a bowl of rice and it becomes rice with raw tuna. Tekkadon.
簡単に作れて美味しくて男子大好き。これが見延県の料理の真髄さ。
It's easy to make, it's tasty, and the boys love it. The essence of the Minobe Kingdom's delicacies all in one dish.
やりますね。男子は丼ご飯が大好き。それを読んでくるとは。
Amazing, you built the dish upon those calculations.
お刺身の不揃いな感じが実にあざとくて憎いわね。
Your use of the sashimi's unevenness is truly cunning.
なるほど。手作り感を出すためにわざと策を。ですか。これは男子はイチコロかもですね。
I see you chopped it up to bring out that home-cooked feeling. Is that it? That could be a hit with the boys.
リリアちゃんのもすごいね。いい匂い。
But yours is good too, Ruria. Smells great.
私は甘く味付けしたカツとじです。
I made well-seasoned pork cutlet with eggs.
そしてそれを熱々ご飯の上にどっさり乗せると。
And you're gonna heap that onto the steaming hot rice?
はい。カツ丼の出来上がりです。
Yeah, to create katsudon.
お肉大好き。丼ご飯大好き。そんなお腹を空かせた男子高校生が大喜びするメニューです。
It's a menu meant to bring joy to hungry high school boys, playing off their love of both meat and rice bowls.
やるね。リリアンも丼作戦できたか。
Oh, not bad. You're going for the rice bowl angle too, huh? But we're not gonna have any rice, I guarantee it.
まあ勝とうと策を練れば当然の結果ですけれどね。
Well, if you plan to win, it's only natural.
これは甲乙がつけがたい勝負になるわ。魚と肉の好みの勝負になるわね。
It'll be a tough call between these two, fish or meat, whatever he prefers. The way Miss Hinagata said that implied my own chances were next to none. I knew it. I couldn't win. But even if I lost, I'd already confessed. But what did that night mean to him anyway? The truth was not much had changed between us since the day I confessed. It was kind of embarrassing, so we kept on acting the same. I was pretty sure Suzumu had accepted my confession, though. So even if I lost, we were already a couple, right? But Minobe was clever, while Riria was relentless. If one of them got him alone on the roof, they might as well make something happen. Oh god. I'll live an honest life from now on, so please, please, grant me a miracle. The miracle never happened. We brought the dishes to the girls' room in the dormitory. The dorm was generally used by sports clubs to stay the night before a tournament, but tonight we'd be using it for the dinner and sleepover. The boys had finally arrived, the moment of truth was upon us.
お待たせグレートなのが到着したぜ
Sorry to keep you waiting. We've made our great arrival.
ああ、すっごいいい匂いだね。
These dishes smell so amazing. We were greeted with bated breath.
さあ配膳だぜ俺とススハラのグレートさにひれ伏しやがれ
Okay, let's set the table. Time for you all to bow before our greatness.
みんなに驚いてもらえるといいな。
I hope you guys are surprised.
ご飯炊くだけで大げさだね。
You guys sure are
炊
making a
飯
big
器で
deal of
美味しく
rice.
ご飯を炊くのもちょっとしたコツとかありますし。
You guys are sure making a big deal of rice. Well, it does require some skill to make delicious rice out of a rice cooker.
お味噌汁も男子の担当だったかしら。そっちも楽しみね。
You made miso soup too, huh? I'm looking forward to that.
すずむがお味噌汁を作ったの？
Did you make the miso?
僕とナツくんの合作だよ。お互い頑張ったんだ。
It was a joint effort between me and Natsu. We worked really hard on the miso.
それにしてもススハラさすがはグレートな男
I gotta say, Suzuhara, you are really great.
正直なところ料理の腕で俺にかなう男がいるとは思わなかったぜ
Never thought I'd meet a man who could match my cooking skills.
ただの白いご飯とお味噌汁で随分と熱血だね。
You boys sure are pumped up over rice and miso.
あ誰がただのご飯だって
Who said anything about simple rice?
ただご飯とお味噌汁を作るだけじゃつまらないと思って。
Hehehehe. We thought making something so simple would be boring.
なに素敵な配膳台車が入ってきたわよ。
Whoa, what's this? You brought a cart just to carry it?
俺とススハラのグレートブラザーズプレゼンツ
The great brothers Asuda and Suzuhara are proud to present. Oh, you knew this was gonna happen. You knew something was happening with the rice.
食らってくたばれグレートディナーショータイム
Great dinner, showtime. Feast your eyes on this.
このエスニックな香辛料の匂いは
The scent of ethnic spices. It's
じゃーん。
ta-da.
具だくさんそして刺激的名付けてメンズドリーム誘惑のカレーピラフだ
This is the men's dream dish. Curry rice pilaf.
合わせてインド風の野菜スープも作ってみたんだ。ほら、こっちも具だくさんなんだよ。
Curry rice pilaf and Indian vegetable soup. See, it's rather hearty too.
これは驚いたわ。すすはらくんはなんだか料理ができそうなオーラがあったけど。
This is really surprising. I got the impression you could cook, Suzuhara, but
厚田お兄ちゃんって料理できたんだね。
but I didn't expect Big Bro would be able to cook this well too.
そういえば自宅お惣菜屋だったっけ？
Oh, wait a sec. Doesn't his family run a deli?
熱々お惣菜の熱田惣菜店の跡取り息子熱田夏也ここに見参
Atsuya Natsuya, son and heir to the Atsuya's piping hot deli, has taken center stage.
俺はただ惣菜店を継ぐだけのつもりはないぜ揚げる焼く蒸すの全てを極めるのさ
I won't sit back and let my inheritance fall into my lap. Frying, grilling, steaming, I learned it all.
すごいよね。将来の夢は創作料理のレストランなんだって。
Amazing. Isn't your dream to open a restaurant?
いやいや、すすはらもグレートだったぜ。
Don't sell yourself short. You were great too.
料理のいろはを知り楽しもうというその心、グレートだったぜ。
You had the will to learn the ABCs of cooking and enjoy yourself.
お料理とか好きなんだ。夏くんの手伝いができてよかったよ。
I like cooking, so I was glad I could help you.
私たちの勝負は何だったんだろうね。
What was the point of our cooking competition?
おいらお腹ペコペコでバカらしくなってきたよ。
I don't know, but I'm kind of mad about how hungry I am.
厚田お兄ちゃんってすごいね。
Whoa, Hatsuda, you're the best big bro ever.
あ、リリー転んじゃった。
Oh dear me, I tripped. Maria elbowed Atsuya in the solar plexus with all her might. Minobu and I could hear her inner cry of how dare you go the extra mile, raging from her soul. Both Ruria and Minobe's dishes had revolved around white rice, but now...
では食べましょう。いただきます。
Thanks for cooking. Let's dig in.
カレーピラフにエスニックスープ。おいらのマグロの山かけが。
Ugh. Curry rice, pilaf, and Indian soup, my mountain of tuna wasted.
ざまあないくらいに相性最悪です。
They clash so badly I'd normally say it serves you right, but my dish does too.
リリアンはとんかつの段階でやめてればよかったね。
You should have settled for making a fried pork cutlet, Lillian.
カレーピラフに甘いカツとじ。
Sweet egg-drenched pork cutlets on curry rice pilaf.
あっと手が滑ってフォークが厚田お兄ちゃんの手の甲に。
Oh, my hand slipped. I guess my fork's just going to go straight into my dear brother's hand. What?
マジカルリリーが口にしたフォークで刺された。グレート。
I was stabbed by the fork that touched magical Lily's lips. This is great.
ごめんね。僕たちが普通に白いご飯を炊いてくるのを期待してたんだね。
I apologize. You're expecting us to make normal white rice, right?
いいのいいの。だってハンバーグの私はラッキーだったし。
It's fine, it's fine. Besides, that means my Hamburg steak is the best of them all.
ハンバーグとピラフは相性最強だよな。だがケチャップはもっとかけてた方が豪快だぜ。
Hamburg steak and rice pilaf go together like peas in a pod, but a splash more ketchup will make it even grander.
せっかくハート書いたのに。
So much for the heart I drew. Humph. He didn't even see my world-class heart.
ハート、かわいいね。
The heart's cute.
こういうのって真心がこもってるって感じがする。
The heart tells me you put your soul into this.
ありがとうスズム。
Thanks, Suzumu.
本当に美味しいわ。美味しくて満腹、太っちゃう。マシュマロ系美魔女爆誕。
It really is good. So good and filling. I get fat. The advent of the marshmallow lady. Oh no.
どれも美味しい。
They're all good.
カツとじの上にとろろかけてマグロと一緒に食べるの？
You poured the yam soup on the pork cutlet and you're eating it with the tuna?
美味しい。白いご飯で食べたかった。
It's so good. I wish I could have had it with white rice.
またリリーのフォークが滑っちゃった。
Oh, my fork slipped again.
グレート。
Someone stop her. He's gonna die. Dinner remained a lively affair to the end, everyone's stomach bursting with food. In the end, the competition was called off. And here I thought I had won due to my Hamburg steak. But I decided since I was already the winner, I'd just accept it. Of course, by winner, I wasn't referring to the cooking competition. Right, they say removing obstacles in your path is as important as at times like these. I needed words, not actions. I'd announce it to everybody. Suzumu would be alright with it, wouldn't he? He'd accepted my confession, right? After we finished up cleaning, we gathered back in the dorm room. Of course, it was a publicly sanctioned school, so the guys wouldn't be staying in the same room as us. There were 2 separate rooms for the boys and girls to sleep in. We all wanted to have fun together until lights out. So everyone gathered in the girls' room, made a toast with the drinks Miss Hinagata bought us, and prepared to engage in all sorts of fun. Even Kurakami was actively participating in the conversation, like she was tuned to the right channel for once. We talked about many different things. The most exciting topic was Ruria's inside stories of the entertainment business. It was a rare occasion to say the least, so we took the opportunity to ask Kurakami some things. Is that doll you're always carrying around important to you? Yes, very. Stuff like that. However, it didn't seem like she would be staying over. Given that she lived in a shrine, her family was probably very strict. As such, she was planning to only hang around for a little while, then go home. And then the clock hit 9. Miss Hinagata left, saying she had to go to the staff room. Kurakami also looked up at the clock and stood up as if telling us she had to leave too. With Miss Hinagata out of the way, I figured it'd be the perfect chance. I wanted to make the announcement while Kurakami was still there, with the whole LCSC present. I winked at Suzumu. He didn't get it, of course, so I interrupted his card game with Etsuda to call him over.
何?
What is it?
ここでさ、みんなに発表しようと思うの。
I was thinking we should tell everybody now.
発表って?
Tell them what? It took everything I had not to slug him in the face and shout that we're going out, dumbass. Just then Suzumu smiled.
僕とキコちゃんが付き合うことになったって?
Oh, you mean that we're going out?
わかってるじゃん。
So you do get it.
わざわざ言うことかな?
But do we really need to tell them?
言うことなの。
Yes.
じゃないと、スズムがまだフリーだと思って言い寄ってくることが現れるかもしれないでしょ。
Otherwise people will think you're, still single and try to woo you.
そんな子いないと思うけどな.
I don't think there's anything like that. And I don't think there's anyone like that here. Oh, there was alright. Every girl in this room, in fact, minus Kurakami.
お願いスズム。こういうことははっきりさせたいの。
Please, Suzumu, I want to set the record straight.
みんなの前で堂々と発表できて初めて認められると思うの。
If we tell everybody to their faces, I think they'll accept it.
まあキコちゃんがいいならいいと思うよ.
Well, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it, I guess.
おい、ススハラのターンだぜ。
It's your turn, Suzuhara. No, it's me and Suzumu's turn.
おほん。
Mm-hmm.
黒髪さん、帰る前にちょっといい？
You mind waiting 1 minute, Kurakami?
ね、みんなちょっと聞いてください。
There's something I want to tell everybody.
何事？
What's that?
なんだどうしたってんだ。
Suzumu and I stood side by side, and the others fell silent. Crap, the silence made it harder on me. Oh, forget it. This is all or nothing.
私、春宮椿子と鈴原鈴夢は
Suzumu Suzuhara and I, Tsubakiko Harumiya,
付き合うことになりま
are going out. The whole room grew quiet. I could feel myself sweating. Everyone's eyes were wide. Would it kill someone to clap or congratulate us? The silence was killing me.
した。あんたたち、いつからそういうことになってたの？
How long has this been going on?
先週私から告って。
Since I confessed last week.
それって料理勝負しようって決めた先週の日曜日のことですか？
By this, you mean the first day we decided to have the cooking competition? Yeah.
なんかフェアじゃないな。
You know, that's just not fair.
そうですよね。春宮先輩、フェアじゃないです。
What she said. That was very cruel of you. Wait, what? Minobe and Ruri glared glaring daggers at me. There wasn't the faintest hint of a smile on their faces. They were dead serious. I winced. This was not what I had expected.
私たち公平に対決しようって決めましたよね。
We decided to settle this fair and square, didn't we?
なのに春宮先輩、あっさり抜け駆けしたってわけなんですよね。
And yet you took a head start behind our backs.
感じ悪いよ。
You disgust me.
私たちの気持ち分かってたでしょ。
You knew how we
あの日
felt. We were honest
私
about
た
our
ち素直
feelings.
に言ったもん。
We were honest about our feelings that day.
言ったってだって見延先輩は茶化したような言い方だったし、
Honest? But you sounded like you were joking, Minobe.
リリアちゃんだって恋愛じゃなくて親愛だって言ってたじゃん。
And Riria said she just cared for him deeply, nothing more than that.
あ、そうですか。
Oh, I
そういう
see.
態度ですか。
Oh, I see. Is that your game now? Well, what about you on that day?
すっとぼけたふりしてなかなかやってくれますね。
You got quite the nerve to play dumb here.
おいらも見誤ったよ。
I was so wrong.
そういう子だとは思わなかった。
I never thought you had it in you.
やめようよ。どうしたのみんな。
Stop it, guys. What's gotten into you?
マジになりすぎだぜ。青春の1ページじゃねえかよ。
Don't you think you're taking this way too seriously? It's just another page in our book of adolescence. The atmosphere was so strained that even the boys were dismayed. Even the normally inattentive Kurakami was staring me down.
それは確かにフェアじゃないって言い方はあるかも。
I suppose it wasn't fair.
でもさ、別に告っちゃいけないなんてルール決めなかったでしょ。
But, you know, nobody ever said we weren't allowed to confess or anything.
なら恋愛なんて早い者勝ちじゃん。
It's first come, first served, where love is involved.
それを何かさもルールがありましたみたいにぐちぐち言われるのも腹立つんだけど。
Pisses me off that you're bitching at me like there was some rule against that.
キコちゃん。
あんたたちだってスズムのことが好きだったらさっさと告白すればよかったじゃない。
If you like Suzumu, then you should have just confessed right off the bat.
それをしないで勝手なルール作って押し付けて。
But you didn't. And now you're pushing some rules you pulled out of your asses on me.
そんでフェアじゃないってこっちからすると何を勝手に熱吹いてんのって感じ。
If you ask me, that kind of crap is more unfair than what I did.
キコちゃん。
Suzumu's voice was serious. I held my tongue, but there was nothing to be upset about. Because I'd already won. Those two were just idiots for thinking this was some romance manga, where getting a head start was banned by some BS status quo.
そうだね。キコチの言う通りだね。
You know, you're absolutely right, Kiko.
いいですよ。そういう態度ならこっちも考えを改めますから。
If that's your line of thinking, then we'll change our line of thinking too.
何よ。
What are you talking about?
スズムンはキコチンに告白されたからそれを OK しただけの話で。
Kiko confessed to Suzumu and he accepted. That's it. That's all there is to it.
だからって別にさらに誰かがスズムンに
早い者勝ちのノールールですものね。
So that doesn't mean
ハル
nobody
ミヤ先
else.
輩の話だとそうなります。
So that doesn't mean nobody else is allowed to confess, does it? According to Haramiya, there are no rules in that regard. The two were threatening to steal Suzumu from me, with nothing to indicate they were joking. Riri aside, this was the first time I'd ever seen the otherwise carefree Minobe get so nervous.
やめてよみんな。
Stop it, everybody. Suzumu shouted harshly. It rendered us all speechless and brought us back to our senses. But it didn't take long for all of us to eye each other like predators.
この話はもうやめよう。
Can we stop talking about this?
せっかくの楽しかった時間を失ってまでする話じゃないよ。
It's not worth letting all the fun we were having go to waste.
そうだね。スズムンの前でする話じゃない。
He's right. Don't talk about this in front of Suzumu.
ですね。私たちだけの話なんですから。
Indeed, this is between the three of us. I wouldn't get in a room alone with them if I were you.
せいぜい今は優位に立ったとおごっててくださいね。
Enjoy the higher ground
Haramiya-san.
for now, Haramiya.
いいよ。買ってやろうじゃんその喧嘩。
Fine, if you want to fight, you're on.
人の恋路にチャラチャラ口を出し腐りやがって。上等だよこら。
Pretty ballsy to think you can swoop in and break up a romance. Bring it on.
やめなよキコちゃん。僕は罵り合うみんななんて見たくないよ。
Stop it, Kiko. I don't want to see you fight.
僕が理由でさっきまでの楽しかった時間が壊れてしまうなら僕は帰るよ。シャチホコ部もやめる。
If I'm the reason the sleepover's been ruined, then I'm gonna go home. I'll quit the LCSE.
みんなももうやめて。
Just stop it, okay?
それ以上やったら 僕はみんなを幻滅してしまう。
You take this any further and I'll lose respect for you.
おかしいぜお前ら。何なんだよ急に。
Come on, this is crazy, guys. What happened to you?
まるで何かに取りつかれたみたいによ。急になんだってんだよ。
Seriously, it's like you've been possessed. How did things go to shit so quickly? Natsuya tried to laugh it off, but it was obvious he was pretty dismayed by the situation. Suzumu was the same. Everyone was having so much fun minutes ago, but a single declaration of love destroyed it all. This sort of thing wasn't so unusual between mixed genders in the countryside. We were all healthy high schoolers. We should have faced this sort of thing once or twice. Yet, things had never been this serious. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. All of a sudden, something snapped loudly. A small object fell to Toei's feet. It was one of the arms of the doll she was holding. She groaned and dug her nails into her face as if trying to endure some sort of agony.
大丈夫？
You okay? Go away. Her forehead grew clammy with sweat. Her eyes glazed over and she stared out blankly into space. It was sudden and uncanny, yet welcome at this point in time. Suzumu ran over to Toei to help her, but she swatted him away. Stay back. Your corruption, it hurts. Toei glared at the other girls in the room.
この男と共になってはならない。
You mustn't be with this man.
鈴原に近づきすぎれば不幸が訪れる。
If you get too close to Suzumiya, it'll bring misfortune. All of you. The doll that she treasured with utmost zeal fell out of her hands. Hinagata came back in.
トエちゃん、
What's wrong, Toei?
どうしたの？しっかり。
Hang in there. Miss Hinagata picked up the doll, gave it to Toei, and helped her to her feet.
ちょっと彼女を家まで送ってくるわ。
I'll take her back to her house.
トエちゃん、大丈夫？私がわかる？
You okay, Toei? Do you recognize me? Go away. The two of them vanished hurriedly down the hallway. Everyone was left at a total loss. The silence of the night enveloped the room once more. Afterwards, the girls abruptly went back to their usual chair and the party ended. To the boys, their change was creepy and beyond comprehension. To the girls, the boys must have seemed like immature children who didn't know how to switch off. Even after Suzumi and Natsuya returned to the boys' room, they were still speechless at the events that just occurred.
女って怖えな。
Man, girls are scary.
それでもさっきのはちょっとおかしいよ。
Still, something was off about that.
月の光って人の心を惑わすって言うしな。
They say the moonlight does strange things to people.
今夜は月がでけえ。惑わされたんだろうよ。
And the moon's huge tonight, so maybe that was why.
きっと女子どもも今頃みんなで自己嫌悪大会だろうぜ。
I'm sure the girls are wallowing in self-loathing right about now.
だがよ、それも含めてグレートな青春の1ページなのさ。
But even so, it'll make a great page in our book of adolescence.
ありがとう夏くん。
Thanks, Natsu.
ちょっぴりだけ心が楽になったよ。
I feel a tiny bit better.
寝ちまおうぜ。何も考えずに。明日も早いしな。
Let's sleep. We get an early start tomorrow.
寝つける自信がないよ。
I don't know if I can sleep.
睡魔が来るまでオールナイトデュエルでも俺は全然グレートだぜ。
Well, I'd be cool with a great all-night duel until Mr. Sandman comes knocking.
じゃあちょっとだけやろっか。
Sure, just a little.
おう。
I was in the midst of a dark night, or perhaps in the midst of the soot-like snow piling up. A wind drifted by. The gale grew stronger, its howl like the roar of a sea during a storm. An ear-piercing tide bellowed, and the earth trembled as I was suddenly blinded by a flash of light. I realized I was in the passageway at a concert hall, surging with a flood of intense light and sound. A group of young men held up multicolored glow sticks. The stage lights were focused on a single idol. I could tell exactly who she was, even though I had seen her before.
リリアちゃん
Is that Riria?
みんなありがとう
Hi everybody, thanks for coming.
リリーはこんなに大勢に愛されて幸せ者なの
I'm glad to be loved by so many people. Zealous fans cheered in response. I was the only one in the audience that was confused, standing completely frozen. Just then, she started passing through the audience to the sound stage in the center of the hall. To the round stage. The fans all cheered their hands out to her all reached their hands out to her, like zombies emerging from their grave. The girl took a look at the countless hands and curved her lips into an impish smile.
この中に
I can't touch your
リリーに触れ
hands,
てだから
so those hands have got to go. All of a sudden, the color of the lights changed, and so did the world. A row of guillotine racks rose along the elevated walkway to the stage. The fans frantically put their hands through the racks and reached out to her.
バッチリお手手はみんなクリンクリン
Let's make those hands of yours clean. As if that were a signal, the guillotine blades dropped one after another like a chain of dominoes. Arms fell to the ground and geysers of crimson blood spurted from the stumps in succession. Crimson blood splattered across the audience like party streamers celebrating her arrival. Their faces warped in pain, but they cackled, as though that was what they'd wished for. Though they were sweating as they endured the agony, they smiled like they were being blessed or sacrificing their hands to her. Riria slowly made her way through the crowd and severed arms. She took center stage and found me right in front of it. Suddenly, several dazzling spotlights
お
shone
掃
on me.
除の国のプリンセスに
This man is
触れ
the
ても
only
いい
one.
のはこの人だけなの
This man is the only one that may touch the Princess of Cleanland.
私の瞳に映るのはあなただけ鈴むお兄ちゃん
The only big bro I need. Roars resounded, sounding akin to screams. It wasn't unreasonable that these fans had given their hands up for her, yet there I was, upstaging them all.
もうリリーはみんなのものじゃないのだからみんないらない
I don't belong to you anymore, so I don't need you. Her announcement had been like a death sentence. All of a sudden, a row of guillotines lined up on stage. They could bring their blades down themselves like fangs, as if they were monsters in guillotine shape.
リリーが好きなのは鈴むお兄ちゃんだけでいいの
Suzumu is the only one I ever want.
だからみんなはお掃除マジックで
So I'll make this place sparkly clean. Oops. She raised her hand and prompted the giant guillotines to jump all over the stage and sing, and they reaped her thousands of adoring fans, like combine harvesters in a paddy field. Fingers, arms, legs, body parts, heads I didn't even recognize rapidly fell across the stage. Those gruesome harvesters made quick work of the audience as their limbs flew. The hall was wrapped in the stillness of death, before I could even process what was happening.
これでもうマジカルリリーは 鈴夢お兄ちゃんだけのものなんだよ。
And now you can have me all to yourself.
他に何もいらないの。ただ鈴夢お兄ちゃんだけがいてくれればいい。
I don't need anybody else but you, Suzumu. She descended to the stage and slowly stepped toward me, walking a red carpet of viscera all the way. All of a sudden, 2 protrusions started growing from her head. They look like pitch black branches or deer antlers.
君はリリアちゃん。
Are you Ruria?
違うよ。
Nope.
マジカルリリー。
It's Magical Lily.
鈴夢お兄ちゃんは自分だけのものにして
You're lucky to have a sister as cute as me.
抱
This
き
is
しめてみたくない？
this adorable little angel is all yours. Don't you wish you could give me a big old bear hug?
何を言ってるのか。
I have no clue what you're talking about.
まだ胸もないんだよ。汚れた大人の女になる前の無垢な体。
Look at this body before I developed and became a corrupted adult.
お兄ちゃんだけのものにしていいんだよ。
The little Ruria smiled and wrapped her fingers around my own. Then all of a sudden she shriveled up. No, I was growing bigger. I was becoming as tall as a giant with each passing second. Before long, the concert hall of death looked as small as a miniature. It was all swallowed up and locked in a round cookie jar. Oh, yep. I found myself in something straight out of a fairy tale. I was sitting in a chair, an afternoon tea set lying on the table.
ふざけた小娘だね。やってくれるよ。
Arrogant little girl, she's done it now. It was her who had shut the cookie jar. She pulled duct tape seemingly out of nowhere and wrapped it around and around and around the jar.
ミノベ。
ここではエリスって呼んで。
No, call me Elise here.
僕はいつからここに。
When did I get here? All of a sudden, a large jar fell from the cupboard with a loud wham. It was different from the cookie jar, but I could tell from a glance that something wasn't right about this. There was just as much duct tape around it as the other one, but this one had several kitchen knives stuck in it. The jar shook as if something inside was trying to get my attention.
にぎやかだな。
Shh. Still got energy to spare, huh? She marched over to the jar with blatant irritation. Next, she picked it up, carelessly tossed it in the cupboard, and closed the
今の
door.
は
What was that?
スズムンには関係ない。
Nothing to do with you, absolutely nothing at all. Her response was curt. I could never have imagined such a heartless expression on this face before today. I stood there speechless for a while until her features softened.
ねえスズムン、つまんないよね。私たちの日常って。
Suzumoon, don't you think our daily lives are boring?
学校も家族も日常は何もかも本当につまんないよね。
School, family, it's all such a drag.
でもここは違うんだよ。
But things are different here. She opened the window with a smile. We must have been in the tower or something, because far below us was an
ここ
unbelievable...
には夢。
Sorry. Far below us was an unbelievably verdant landscape straight out of a picture book. Villages and steeples, bridges and windmills. I felt like I'd been dumped straight into a fairy tale. There are dreams and adventures here. Here I'm your princess, and you're a prince.
そして毎日が何かこんな楽しい世界を
There's
オイ
always new
ラとスズムンで
adventures.
独り占めできるんだよ。
We can have this fun world all to ourselves. Then the cupboard clattered and shook. Whoever was trapped inside the cupboard was clearly seeking help.
スズムン、
あの戸棚の中の缶には
Something in that jar?
何が入ってるのかな。
In the cupboard?
何も。
Nope. She glared at it with irritation. That was a bald-faced lie, of course.
中身見せてもらうね。
Show me who's inside.
スズムン、
I was more stunned by the look on her face than her sudden shout. The expression was utterly unlike my dainty, laid-back upperclassman.
いいじゃん。そんなのの中身なんてどうだって。
Forget about what's inside. It doesn't matter. I heard a cracking sound from her head, her skull. 2 black horns like withered branches sprouted out of it.
それよりさ、もう一度 外を見てみようよ。
Anyway, take another look outside.
スズムン、男の子だからこういうの好きだと思うな。
As a boy, I think you'll like this. Only her lips were smiling. Her eyes regarded me as a predator, baring its fangs. I heard something off in the distance. The earth was shaking, and many more people were screaming like something out of a monster movie. I looked out into the world, and noticed it was no longer the idyllic landscape I'd seen before. A monster movie comparison turned out to be right on the mark. It's gigas. Countless caterpillars the size of windmills creeped across the earth, devouring the world whole. The villagers fled for their lives, but one was eaten after another. They had nowhere to run. There was nothing more than cookie crumbs scattered on the floor to the caterpillars. They were nothing more than cookie crumbs. Cries of agony from the insect's prey and the wailing of infants echoed across the land. It was a fairy tale, alright, one straight out of hell.
さあ、冒険が始まるよ、ムーンスートの王子様。
Ooh, our adventure is about to begin, O Prince of Moonsuit.
人々が怪物に苦しめられているよ。世界が勇者を求めてる。
The world needs a hero, because they're suffering.
さあ、王子、私と冒険の旅に出かけよう。
Go forth with me on this quest, brave prince.
巨大怪物たちを操るセチュの王を探し出そう。そして闇に封印する聖なる剣を探しに行こう。
We gotta find the Sech King who controls the beast and locate the holy sword to seal the darkness.
退屈な現実世界なんてもう忘れて、私と二人で冒険に出かけようよ。
Forget the boring other world and go on an adventure with me. She should have heard the screams and cries. Yet she talked about it all as if it was the start of something exciting. Just then, the room trembled from a violent quake.
ほら、冒険が向こうからやってくる。
Look, the adventure's coming to us. The room shook so hard it was impossible to stand. At that moment, the ceiling collapsed and something giant fell upon us. It wasn't one of the caterpillars that assaulted the world, but something even uglier.
はあどこから迷い込んだんだか、この豚肉が。
Where did you crawl in from, you porky bastard? She called it pork, but all I saw was a hideous giant blob. Color of flesh. The blob roared as it sluggishly slithered over to her. She laughed sardonically, but it appeared as she pulled a sharp-tipped parasol out of nowhere and stood on her guard.
ミノベ県王国第一王女エリスがお相手してやる。さあ、冒険の始まりだ。
I, Elise, shall slay you, foul beast. Now let the adventure begin. I could tell the two were opposed to each other, but I didn't know who to help. Heck, I didn't even know what was going on. Just then, the cookie jar in the cupboard clattered. I ran over to it, once I was sure she wasn't paying attention to me. I pulled out the knives stuck in the jar, took off the cover of the duct tape, and opened the lid. A pitch-black soot spewed out and engulfed the world in darkness. A strange series of events had me laughing a wreck. I was taking no pleasure in any of this.
もうさっきから何なんだよ。
Seriously, what in the world is happening here?
わけがわからない。
None of this makes sense. Excuse me? I was in the midst of a dark snowfield. A blizzard of soot-like particles howled around me, snow dyeing everything pitch black. Part of me was convinced this had to be a real bad nightmare. In that case, I wanted to at least know what it was about. What was it trying to tell me? Before long, something came into view through the pitch-black blizzard. The large metal lump was cool to the touch. I knew the shape. It was similar to those hanging bells they had in the temple. Just then I felt vibrations coursing through the object. Someone was banging it from the inside, begging for help.
誰か。
Is someone in there? Help me, Suzumu.
キコちゃん、この中にいるのかい？
You're in there, Kiko? Let me out. Get me out of here. I grasped the bell and put my back into it, but didn't budge. I looked around to see if there was any tools or people nearby, but there was nothing but a pitch-black, snow-filled, as far as the eye could see. Get me out, I'll save you. I even stepped back and tried ramming it, but that didn't work. Body slamming a solid metal lump was no different than trying to punch through a steel door. Despite that, I endured the pain and kept ramming it. But it was pointless. I can't do it. I grasped for air as I fell to my knees. All of a sudden I heard a voice. It was coming from above.
誰にも救えない。
Nobody can save her. I surveyed my surroundings. No one was to be found. But when I looked up, I saw someone sitting on top of the bell.
降り積もりし年月の重み。貴様ごときに払える道理はなし。
The likes of you have no means by which to wipe away the sins of time.
黒髪さん、この中に人が閉じ込められているんだ。
Kurakami, someone's trapped in there.
救いたいか。
Do you want to save her?
助けなきゃ。
We gotta.
ならば無駄を知るまで存分に試せ。
Then keep trying till you realize the futility of your actions. She gave me a bewitching little smile from her perch on the bell. If you think you can save her, then by all means do try, was what her expression appeared to say. I looked around, but I couldn't find anyone or anything that could be of help. It was clear that Kurakami had no intention of helping either, so it was up to me to find something. I staggered to my feet and continued ramming the bell. My shoulder creaked and ached, driving home just how I was accomplishing nothing but injuring myself. Even so, I couldn't afford to stop. Yielding was not an option, so long as someone was in there.
無駄なあがきと
Learn
理
from
解
that.
しろ。
Learn that your struggle is futile.
この呪いと業はお前ごときに何とかできるものではない。
Dealing with the curse and this karma is far beyond your capacity.
そうかな。
Is that so? I don't believe it.
ふん。
だって君は僕を見ている。
After all, you're looking at me.
どうにもならないものならば僕をそうして見ていたりなんかしない。
You wouldn't be watching here if you thought I couldn't do anything.
黒髪さんはひょっとしたら僕にはどうにかできるかもしれないってわずかの期待を持っているんだ。
Deep down, perhaps you're hoping that this is within my power. Suzumu, help me, my bodies.
キコちゃん。
My body is... I couldn't tell what was going on in there, but clearly I had no time to waste. However, I didn't know what to do. There was nothing I could do in the face of something so thick and heavy.
無力さを呪いながら去れ。
Curse your powerlessness and leave us.
お前ごときに変えられる運命など
You can't hope to
Nice.
alter fate.
このままではキコちゃんは死ぬのか。
Will Kiko die if this keeps up?
死によっても解放されぬ永遠の呪いに身を染める。
She'll be stained with an eternal curse from which even death shall offer no release.
なら差し違えたってなんとかしなきゃ。
Ah, then I gotta do something, even if it means sacrificing myself. Just then I took up my form. The Suzuhara divine tribute style, the sole art I'd been trained in for as long as I could remember. But it was meant to be dedicated to God, not for hitting things. I punched the trees, but nothing would break. At that moment I was dealing with a chilly metal wall that had to be even thicker. If I punched it with my hand, it would break. That was unmistakable. My hand would break. I understood that, yet I took up my form, lowered my stance, and readied my fist all the same.
何の真似だ。
What do you think you're doing?
その小さな拳で鐘が割れるとでも。
You think you'll break the bell with that tiny fist of yours?
僕にできる最大限が
This is the most
こ
I
れな
can
ん
do.
だ。何の意味があってずっと修行を重ねてきたのか。
Until now I didn't
僕は今日ま
understand.
では誰かを救うために
Sorry.
この拳を捧げられるなら
Up until now I didn't understand what this training was about, but if I can offer it to help... offer up my fist to save somebody,
本望だ。
then I'd be satisfied. I calmed my mind. I didn't know why, but I felt like I was meant to be here. If all of this was fate, then perhaps it was destiny that I would be here.
覇者検証邪悪を打ち破りて正しきを示す
Hachikensho. Crush evil and demonstrate your righteous path.
鈴原流親善武術鈴原進
I am the practitioner of the divine tribute style, Susuhara.
いざ
Let's go. I felt whirlwinds gather and condense in my fist. Brilliant light leaked out of it as I held it aloft to the sun in my hand.
お前それは
What are you? Then I saw the look of bewilderment warp her features. I knew. The sacred fist offered unto God would pierce true. Impossible. Everything shattered like glass in a burst of light. Even the bell and Kurikami were reduced to particles and vanished into the brilliance. The soot-like blizzard scattered apart. Through the round hole in the bell, I saw Tsubakiko smeared in soot.
キコちゃん
She was breathing. I brushed away the mountain of soot on her body and held her in my arms. Horns-like branches were growing out of her head.
ありがとう進む
Thanks, Suzumu.
もう大丈夫だよ
You're safe now.
うんこれで進むは私だけのものだね
Yeah, and with this, you're all mine, aren't you?
進む愛してる
I love you, Suzumu.
だから
So,
進むのすすを全部私に注ぎ込んで
pour all your soot into me.
Huh?
Ah! She spread her arms like wings and wrapped them around my body. Her claws dug into me, keeping me from escaping. And so I ended up becoming her prey. Is that the end of that chapter? I had a hard time waking up in the morning. It took a lot of shaking from Natsu to break me from my slumber. I was seized by exhaustion and fatigues, the like of which I never felt before. I couldn't muster the energy to get up. And I wasn't the only one. All the girls were in the same state as me.
もう仕方ないわね大方明け方まで起きておしゃべりしてたんでしょ
You guys are all worthless. You stayed up until dawn talking, didn't you?
寝不足美容の大敵相対的に先生の魅力がアップってなっちゃうわよ
Lack of sleep, beauty fades, the teacher looks more attractive by comparison. Is that what you really want? Hehe. With that, I'm gonna go to bed. So, this is probably the end of the chapter. It's probably gonna end, like, immediately. Like, there'll just be some wrap-up, you know, with Tsubakiko and everything. She might live, I don't know. Or maybe she's already dead, I'm not sure. But, we'll find out. But obviously it's gonna wrap up here. This music sounds pretty emotional. I'm really curious. I might speed through just to see what happens, and then I'll read through it tomorrow. See ya.